Alright everybody, Doofus Bob here. We're back with the follow-up video. Here's what we've done so far. Now you can see there's a nice black coating over here, and this looks kind of patchy and gray. So I did some experiments mixing PVA and then Mod Podge and then some fine sand that I found online and some water and acrylic black paint. So what I found the best combination was like about one quarter Mod Podge, 1/4 black paint, acrylic paint, and maybe about an ounce of some fine sand. And I got this really nice texture here. I let it dry, but the other important thing is how hard it was. Like I can sit here and do this and you can barely see my nail putting a dent in it. So remember, this is a spaceport / hangar bay, and I kind of want to go with the tarmac look. So you see I got some Americana black acrylic paint there. So I put 2 layers of the mixture I just mentioned on here, and I let it get nice and hard. I kind of experimented. I drew a couple squares about 3" by 3". Did just like black paint and fine sand. Then I did Mod Podge and fine sand. Then I added a little water to it and did it. And I just did a couple patches here and there. And then I tested them by tapping on them, rubbing on them. See, like right now, nothing's coming off. You know, just the paint and the fine sand, it was rubbing off. It was rubbing, and it wasn't great. And it wasn't hard at all. It didn't really protect it much. So again, Mod Podge, acrylic paint, some fine sand, a little bit of water, you know, mix it up really good, and then I put that down, and then I put another layer, and then a third heavier layer, and that was pretty good. So then I got another mixture, the same thing I just mentioned, but this time I added some spackle to it, and that is what's on top here now. Okay, and that's where you see this white. That's the spackle coming through. Now what that did, oh my God. I mean, I dropped that acrylic bottle on here and it made a dent, but it wasn't huge. All right, it's just barely there. So the spackle with the Mod Podge and the fine sand did really well. It's nice and hard. I think you could have gone straight to that and put that down. I think it would have worked pretty good. So again, you want to add the spackle to it, you can. If it's just for a display, you know, you're not playing tabletop games, if you don't have friends that are going to be denting it, you can probably leave out the spackle. I felt like it was a pretty decent strength to it, but the spackle, I felt like doubled the strength, okay? Hopefully I didn't confuse you there, just bear with me. You know, like I mentioned before, we got a day job. Making videos is not my main thing yet. Hopefully it will be though. Okay, so this piece here looked like this piece here about 15 minutes ago. So, and this is just the Americana premium acrylic paint. It says premium, but let's face it, it's a little generic, but it's good stuff. Mixed with probably 4 parts paint, maybe 1 part water just to thin it out to get a good coverage. You see some streaks here. I'm letting it dry and the streaks seem to be disappearing. That's fine. I got a roller brush that I might use instead on this piece here. So make the same mixture, but in a bigger container, and we'll roller that on. I did use the roller brush with the Mod Podge, spackle, sand, water, paint mixture because, you know, just sitting there with a small brush, because this is pretty big. You know, I probably should have started with something smaller, but as I mentioned in the first video, my ships that I'm putting on here are pretty big. You know, let's put one on there just to give you another example. You can see all my Star Wars stuff in the background. This is the Razor Crest. Look how big that is. You know, it's huge. So we're gonna go with a nice large tarmac here. So I'm gonna put a layer of black paint, probably just the one, because I don't want it too dark, and I'm gonna probably dry brush it. The other thing, which I don't know if you can see from there, you'll see imperfections. There's a lot of imperfections on here because I was experimenting with the mixtures and everything. As the water dried from the mixture, it left little raised bits, little divots and stuff like that here. In some places it dried, but it pulled a little. That's perfectly okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's a landing pad. I don't want it to be perfect. I'm leaving all the mistakes in there to see how it looks at the end. It's just a big learning process. You know, even how, you notice how that's, so one thing I need to mention, my table here has a bit of a curve to it, because you'll notice these aren't really matching up well, but if I push down on it, they do meet up. But again, this isn't perfect either. I left this it doesn't really meet up well, and I'm gonna leave it that way and maybe use some peripheral or accessories to cover up these seams. I do want it to be modular. 6 feet by about 2.5 is a bit big to move. So, you know, we cut 2 feet off the end, so we got 4 modular pieces. We'll build a hangar bay in an L shape over there. There'll be a tower somewhere, like an air traffic control tower. It might be on the hangar, might be over here, but it's gonna be modular, so we'll be able to move it around. So I'm gonna cover up these seams here with something. We'll see what it ends up being. Gonna get the camera here and move it a little close for you so you can see some of the imperfections. All right, here, take a look at that. You see all those divots and those little raised pieces there? You know, here's a big one over here. You'll see, that's where the roller brush, I got a really nice clean sweep there, but that's okay. We'll sort it out. Here's some, look at that. See all these imperfections? Imagine a starship landing, right? It's gonna hit the tarmac and have all kinds of problems. Look at this right here. We'll leave all that in there. This is gonna look pretty good. We've got all these raised bits here. We're gonna leave all that on there. Did put a dent over here. My mistake. It's okay though. So there's the Razor Crest. You see how big that is? God, I love that shit. Fell in love with that one, you know. I have to tell you, I love that more than I do the Falcon. Okay. All right, so we're gonna put another layer of this black paint on all 3 of these pieces. And then we're gonna start thinking about what kind of runway lines we're gonna put down, like you see at airports and whatnot. We'll use Orabesh letters, you know, docking bay, you know, 23, 28, whatever. We'll come up with some numbers there. I'm probably, you know, one of them has to be docking bay 94, right? We have to do that. So, let's go ahead and leave it here. And I'll go ahead and just put another layer of black paint. Again, it's just black paint and some water. I don't think you want to sit here and watch me, you know, mix that and then brush it on. You can see the streaks are starting to disappear there. So I think we'll be fine just doing it that way. Trying to think what else I can tell you guys right now. And we'll come out with the design for the hangar bay. Just, you know, we're gonna give it some thought here. We got some numbers to put on there. We got some pinstriping that we can use for designated landing zones and whatnot. Yeah, all right. Well, hey, that's a quick one for now. And don't know if this will be a single video or maybe part of another one. All right, see you guys later.